What if you woke up tomorrow and everything had changed? Not just a little bit, but in a way that would reshape all of humanity forever. Imagine a world where the very limits we take for granted, the cost of electricity, the time it takes to travel, the barriers between nations, simply vanished overnight. This isn't a fantasy or a scene from one of my movies. It's a real scientific idea, a milestone for any species out there in the cosmos. We would have woken up as a Type 1 civilization. It's a massive leap forward, a graduation to a whole new level of existence. The world you knew on Monday would be ancient history by Tuesday. It's a mind-blowing thought, isn't it? The power of an entire planet, right at our fingertips. The sun would rise just as it always does, but it would be shining on a completely different world. So, what does it actually mean to be a Type 1 civilization? Let's break it down, nice and simple. A brilliant scientist named Nikolai Kardashev came up with a scale to measure how advanced a civilization is, based on how much energy it can use. Think of it like levels in a video game. Right now we are at about level 0.7. We're still using fossil fuels, the stored up energy from ancient plants and animals. That's every single drop of sunlight, every gust of wind, every wave in the ocean, and all the geothermal heat from the Earth's core. In a Type 1 world, the first thing you would notice is the silence of the old world fading away. The roar of gasoline engines, the rumble of coal-fired power plants, all gone. In their place would be a quiet, efficient hum of clean energy. Your monthly energy bill? It would be a thing of the past, a relic of a less advanced time. Energy would be a basic right, as abundant and free as the air we breathe. Imagine every home, every school, every hospital having access to limitless clean power. We would have vast, continent-spanning solar farms in our deserts, capturing sunlight with near-perfect efficiency. Giant wind turbines floating high in the jet stream would harness the power of the winds that circle our globe. We would finally tap into the immense geothermal energy deep within the Earth's crust, providing a steady, reliable source of power 24/7. With limitless energy comes a revolution in how we communicate. Forget about spotty Wi-Fi signals or losing connection in a tunnel. In a Type 1 world, communication would be instantaneous, seamless, and global. You could have a crystal-clear holographic conversation with someone on the other side of the world, and it would feel like they are right there in the room with you. Language barriers would dissolve, with universal real-time translation becoming a standard feature of every communication device. The entire wealth of human knowledge would be accessible to anyone, anywhere, instantly. A child in a small, remote village would have access to the same quality of education as a child in the most advanced city. They could take a virtual field trip to the pyramids of Giza, explore the surface of Mars in a simulation, or be taught by the world's leading experts in any subject, all from their local community center. Getting around in a Type 1 world would be just as revolutionary as everything else. Say goodbye to traffic jams, long airport security lines, and the environmental cost of modern travel. Transportation would become incredibly fast, efficient, and clean. Imagine stepping into a sleek pod in Sydney and being whisked through a subterranean frictionless tube, arriving in London in under an hour. These systems would be powered by the planetary grid, using magnetic levitation to achieve incredible speeds with minimal energy. For shorter distances, personal and public transport would be completely autonomous and electric. Our cities would be redesigned around people, not vehicles. Streets would be reclaimed for parks, pedestrian walkways, and community spaces, making our urban environments quieter, cleaner, and just much more pleasant to live in. Harnessing the power of an entire planet isn't something one country can do alone. It would require a level of global cooperation that is completely unprecedented in human history. The very idea of separate nations fighting over energy resources would become absurd overnight. To manage a planetary energy grid, we would need to create a new kind of global governing body. This wouldn't necessarily be a single world government that controls everything, but at the very least a global energy authority. Its sole purpose would be to ensure that the power of our world is managed safely, distributed equitably, and used for the benefit of all humanity. This new global body would face enormous challenges. It would need to be transparent, accountable, and representative of every person on the planet. How do we decide who sits on this council? How do we ensure that one group or nation doesn't gain too much influence? A rapid overnight transition to a Type 1 civilization wouldn't be without its dangers. Such a massive change would be incredibly disruptive, and the shock to our systems could be, well, pretty severe. The first major challenge would be social and economic upheaval. Entire industries, particularly those built around fossil fuels, would become obsolete in an instant. This would mean millions of people, miners, oil rig workers, energy traders, would find their jobs have vanished. We would need a massive, globally coordinated effort to retrain and support these individuals, helping them find new, meaningful roles in this new world. Then there's the psychological impact. For all its benefits, such a sudden leap forward could be terrifying for many people. Our entire understanding of the world, our place in it, and the value of our work would be turned upside down. When everything is provided for, what gives our lives meaning? The concentration of so much power would also create new risks. The global energy grid itself would become the single most critical piece of infrastructure on the planet. What if it were to be controlled by a malicious group? What if there were a technical failure on a planetary scale? The potential for a global catastrophe would be immense. This famous line from a comic book has never been more true than in the context of a Type 1 civilization. The ability to harness the power of an entire planet is the ultimate power, and with it comes the ultimate responsibility. It's a responsibility not just to ourselves, but to all life on Earth and to future generations. We would become the undisputed stewards of this planet, and every decision we make would have long-lasting consequences. Our first responsibility would be to ensure equity. This power cannot be for the benefit of a select few. It must be used to lift everyone up, to close the gap between the rich and the poor, and to ensure that every human being has the opportunity to live a life of dignity and fulfillment. We could restore damaged ecosystems, bring back species from the brink of extinction, and manage the planet's climate to ensure its long-term stability. We would need to see ourselves not as masters of the planet, but as part of a larger, interconnected web of life that we have a sacred duty to protect. As a Type 1 civilization, we would likely be taking our first real steps out into the solar system. We would be sending probes, building habitats on the Moon and Mars. Do we carry our old habits of exploitation and conflict with us to other planets? Or do we go as explorers, scientists, and peaceful ambassadors of a united Earth? The way we handle our newfound power at home will be a preview of how we will behave as we venture into the cosmos. It's our chance to set the right course for our species' long-term future. Waking up as a Type 1 civilization would be the most transformative event in human history. It would be challenging, a little scary, and it would force us to confront the best and worst parts of our nature. But above all, it would be a moment of incredible hope. It's a future where no child goes hungry, where every mind has the chance to learn, and where our planet is healthy and thriving. It's a future that is not just a distant dream, but a real possibility that lies within our grasp if we choose to work towards it. The journey to becoming Type 1, whether it happens overnight or over the next century, is ultimately a story about unity. It's about realizing that we are all in this together, on this one beautiful planet, hurtling through space. On this one beautiful planet, hurtling through space. The challenges we face, from climate change to global inequality, are too big for any one nation to solve. They require us to act as one team. The promise of a Type 1 future is the ultimate incentive for us to learn how to cooperate. It shows us what we stand to gain if we can finally see past our differences and focus on our shared humanity. This isn't just about technology. It's about a transformation of the human spirit. It's about choosing hope over fear, collaboration over conflict, and wisdom over short-sightedness. The technology is just a tool. The real change has to happen in our hearts and minds. We have to believe in a better future and be willing to do the hard work of building it. We have the creativity, we have the resilience, and we have the capacity for great kindness. We just need to channel it all in the same direction. So, let's look to that future, not with apprehension, but with excitement. Let's imagine that world of clean energy, instant connection, and boundless opportunity. The path may be long and we may not get there overnight, but every step we take towards sustainability, towards global cooperation, and towards greater understanding is a step closer to that Type 1 dawn. We are a young species with an incredible journey ahead of us. And if we can come together, there is absolutely no limit to what we can achieve. Our brightest future is not written in the stars. It is one we will build together right here on Earth.